Hello, Lou Engle here with The Call. And I am here to share really a narrative, a storyline leading up to October 9th, where we are calling hundreds of thousands of women for a Deborah Call, along with the Baraks. And I believe that God wants to unify the genders. I believe it is an hour of a woman's voice. I believe that Esther's intercession can save a generation and end abortion. And in many ways, I believe the whole nation, the prophets, are hearing a sound. There's a gathering on the 6th through the 9th. It's called David's Tent. It's Awaken the Dawn, where 3 days of continuous praise and worship. We believe we're in a day when the ark of God is moving in the nation, and it's heralded by this worship and praise movement. We're calling for people to gather on those 3 days, the 6th through the 8th. And then on the 9th, we're gathering for a Deborah Call. As I heard the story recently, I was stirred by Psalm 68. Great is the number of the women who proclaim the great tidings. And I thought, this is about the ark of God moving, the chariots of God. There's not just an earthly procession. Something of heaven is moving. We've seen a president elected. But what about Jesus? I believe the church needs to be more concerned about the King Jesus than the King Trump. And we're in an hour for an awakening. If the church would begin to understand that it's an hour to believe for the coming of the King in a great awakening to this nation. Great was the number of the women that proclaimed the mandate in Psalm 68. And so I saw this gathering coming on October 9th. And I thought, I believe the psalmist saw a massive movement of women. And so I began to pray Psalm 68. Just a few days ago, I ran into a young lady who for years has been praying for a massive women's movement to turn a nation. And she said at the beginning of this year, she went on a 21-day fast. And all she could pray was Psalm 68. She got a revelation. The Psalm 68 is all about Miriam. It's Deborah. It's the women. It's the women's psalm in America. The women who go to war in prayer and go into the public sector to make a stand for righteousness. I was stunned by this. And now just tomorrow, I am actually headed toward a conference invited by a prophet that touches the whole world. And he said, would you come and share this story? He says, because I've received a revelation from Psalm 68 that there's a new coming of a women's movement, and the mantles of Amy Semple McPherson and the great evangelists are coming. And God is mantling women for the last days surge of evangelism and reformation in the nations. This is burning in our heart. Even as we go to the call in Cleveland, my friend had a dream that from Cleveland we were taking Highway 68 to Washington, D.C. We didn't even know what it meant, but there's a Highway 68 in Ohio. It's called the National Highway. We want to go Psalm 68. Call the women by the thousands, young and old, the mothers to come and cry out for the salvation of their children and the youth of America. It's time for another Jesus movement. But it's time for the Baraks to honor women, to break off the way we've used them in our minds, in our thoughts, and our eyes. I believe something of an altar is going to be built that day that could literally shake the altar of abortion and loose a wave of reconciliation in families. Would you gather October 9th, daring to believe that Deborah's call in the Bible, God could loose the same power and win a great victory in the heavens for this nation? Join us for the Deborah Call, October 9th. Washington, D.C. Mall. Bless you.